Hey, what's up, guys? Lou here. It's been a while. Was able to finish my work a little early and decided to do this vid. So, yeah, you're probably wondering what's up with the title. So, there was a quote from Winston Churchill who said, History is written by the victors or the winners. Same difference. Um, and yeah, he's partially right. So, long story short, basically, the conquerors, or, the one empire who defeats the other empire, gets to write their biography most of the time. Best example, without diving too deep, is Rome and Carthage. Carthage, which is, part of North Africa today, Tunisia, big maritime trade republic. They're descendants of Phoenicians, so they had that going for them. They ran stuff, you know, not like the Greeks, but they had their own thing going on. Pulled their army a lot from different people. They had a very multi-ethnic army. I'm not a big fan with mercenaries. I mean, sometimes they work and sometimes they don't. They play for each side. So you know that happens, and sometimes it doesn't work out too well. Anyway, they gave Rome a run for their money. Remember the guy Hannibal? Yeah, he almost conquered Rome. Romans came back, defeated them, and I mean like almost leveled the city. I mean, they didn't destroy it completely. Obviously, it's still there. You still see some ruins to this day. But yeah, because they seen the logic of keeping it around. Like I said, it was a maritime republic. Dealt with a lot of trade, and they used that. Um, so eventually became incorporated. But what we know a lot about Carthage today is probably written by Romans, or you know people that thought of themselves as Roman. Usually, what Rome did, this happened later on. If you were like in Rome's circle of trust, their sphere of influence, you were a Roman citizen. That doesn't mean you were some like Italian dude from Italy. That means you were wherever you came from. You're just Roman. You could have been a Greek Roman, a North African Roman. You know what I'm saying? And that title usually came with a lot of respect. So wasn't really looked as a bad thing. I mean, a lot of people are fiercely nationalistic and cared about their country to resist, but with a giant like Rome, sometimes you got to play ball. Anyway, so yeah, that went with a lot of places, a lot of ancient people that Rome conquered, and they never came back. We know now from Roman philosophers, or people who wrote history, historians, orators. Um, but I think, yeah, I do think a lot of the history that we know about from other people that are written by Romans and other conquerors could be a little, that particular history they wrote could be, you know, shaded or, not truthful. But I think, today we know better and we can kind of like sift through the duds and we take what we know sounds familiar. But like, if you're trying to impress someone, you're not going to feed them a bunch of lies. I mean, there's only so much bullshit, a philosopher could say before he's caught in the act. And you don't want that kind of reputation. Think about it. If you lied all the time, then how would you find work? Like, people don't like liars. And I think, obviously some truths and some, falsehoods might have been exaggerated, but, most of the time, especially modern historians today, don't necessarily rely on old texts because of that. Some history has been exaggerated. We all know this. That's why we have modern, historians that do dig deep, that take the time of research, and that are not biased. So there you go. So you want to take the history that was written back in the day with a grain of salt, but you got to give it some credit because there is some truth in there, and that's what I believe. Whatever knowledge we have today, if it really does bother you and you feel some things are missing, there's some gaps in whatever empire or republic you admire that was defeated maybe, and they got their history written by someone else. Well, look into it yourself. Find out if so and so is lying about this great country, whatever. That's what I always say. I'll never tell anyone to just accept something. No, go ahead, search yourself. That's what I always say. Yeah, and another thing that kind of like always sparks my interest. I like alternative histories, like the what ifs. Like, same example, what if Carthage won and defeated Rome? That's something I can pick your brain with. How would the Roman world turn out? If Hannibal ran things, how would Italy turn out, or the surrounding countries? Would have prospered into this big, Eastern world connected to a bigger world? I don't know. These are definitely what ifs. These obviously didn't happen, but it's always good to, wonder. In fact, I think there's a YouTube channel that actually does a bunch of what ifs. Now that I think about it, um, yeah, it's interesting. Or another thing you could think about what the rise of Islam. The Islamic Moors. Um, what if they took southern France, like at the Battle of Porters or Tours? What if Sicily remained an emirate? What if Constantinople fell earlier than it did? Huh? That would kind of pave the way for this Islamic tide to take Europe, probably Italy. Usually that was like the main kind of prize right there was Rome. Whether it be Renaissance Rome or medieval Rome, it was something people always want to get their hands on. And you have to think and to wonder how things might have been different if Rome was an Islamic republic as opposed to a Renaissance-y, flamboyant kind of double cross Game of Thrones kind of era going on. But what if it was that kind of, I don't want to say laid back, but like different kind of discipline, Islamic style. You have to understand now. If you go and search at mosques and look on the inside, especially there's one treat actually, the glass mosque of Iran. If you get a chance, definitely check that out. It's beautiful. But anyway, they have a very exotic way of writing, and that's their version of like artwork. They don't portray images of people because it's not what they do. It's just I don't want to say against the religion, but it's just not what they do. So if you go into a mosque today, you'll see a lot of the Arabic writing and so on and so forth. That probably tells the story of the God they worshipped and everything in between, as opposed to Catholic or Orthodox churches, where it's like these big cathedrals filled with paintings and statues. Just imagine how things would have been if Europe was under a different religion, different group of people, even in the ancient days, if things were just reversed. I don't know. Just something to think about, it's all, play around stuff. Obviously, history didn't turn out this way, but, to pass the time or, to stop and think like, what if this happened, just, I think it makes for good entertainment. That's just me. Speaking of Rome and Constantinople, and my favorite empire, the Byzantines. There's a show on Netflix actually that kind of shines light on this empire. I mean, it's the tail end, which is kind of annoying. I would like to see the golden period of the Byzantine Empire, but at this point, I'll take what I could get. I mean, until Hollywood comes in knocking at my door, I'll give them a script. But I mean, it's cool. It's cool finally seeing. I mean, it's leaning more towards the Ottoman side. And there's like an endless supply of movies and series that depict the Ottomans as like, okay, yeah, they lasted a very long time. We understand, and this is how they got started. Great, but what about the people they fought? I feel like there's so much more story to be told instead of focusing on one person. I mean, yeah, they do give some, playtime for the Byzantines, and at this point, it was like, the end. So they have like a lot, there's references to a lot of the Italian mercenaries that try and kind of like, or like that last hurrah to try and, salvage what's left of Constantinople. But ultimately, in the end, the Ottomans were just too tough. And but the Eastern Romans, they put up a fight, and that's why their heritage and parts of Greece and their whatever they encompassed and their empire still around today. You can still see Byzantine artwork influences, you know, places from Russia to Central Asia, parts of southern Italy. Their heritage is still around, despite Constantinople becoming Istanbul now. But yeah, I mean, it's cool. It's a great docudrama style. So it's like actors portraying roles with intercuts of historians telling the story pretty much about the fall of the Byzantines. But yeah, like I said, I mean, that story I know by heart now because it's all that's portrayed, and it's very easy to come across any of that today. Yeah, we get it. They fell, the Ottomans took the show, and so on and so. But like I said, it leaves a void, especially for other people that have no idea what the hell a Byzantine is. People are like, what? I thought Rome fell in 4 or something, 400 AD. Yeah, the western part. I mean, a lot of people don't know that Rome was split, and the Eastern Empire continued to prosper a very long time, until the late 1400s. Um, but yeah, you know, that's what I would like to see. Um, it would be nice, actually seeing the golden age. I mean, every Roman movie I've ever seen usually portrays Rome as the bad guy. Sometimes, and it's different parts of. It's usually in Jerusalem, or like some far away, cold, barren place like Britain or some Celtic land. But I would love to see Romans or Byzantines portrayed in the Middle East because yeah, believe it or not, before the tide of Islam, uh, places like Syria, today's Turkey, just called Antioch and all that, Anatolia, was heavily Christian, and there was a big stew of multi-ethnic people. From you had Georgians, Armenians, Greeks, some Italians, these Proto-Russians, the Slavs. You had all these people that were eventually baptized, and created the Orthodox Christian world. Kind of like dispersed. Who went to the Black Sea, who went this way, who went that way. But yeah. Anyway, back to my point is it's all about story, and whether or not you feel like you've been cheated when you hear something historic going on, and you're like, did that really happen? I implore you to go check out for yourself. Don't be lazy. Go, find out. It's really not that hard. The same way how I'm recording this video, you could right now go to Google and check out whatever sparks your interest and see for yourself. Do you accept, what was written by some ancient historian? Did he twist words maybe to his liking? Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. Maybe he was trying to impress someone. But I think most of us, not all of us, are competent enough to see through the cracks and sift through all the lies and pick out stuff that's truthful, and then investigate for ourselves and get to the bottom of stuff. Look, if CSI and private investigators could do it, and I mean, yeah, they have techniques and schooling for that, but the average person, come on, we could find out what our neighbor ate, like the week before or whatever, if we looked hard enough. It's just we have to be motivated to do things like that, and I'm passionate about things, and I will take things maybe with a little bit of grain of salt, maybe more than a grain, of some the words of some ancient philosopher, and maybe dig a little deeper myself and get to the bottom, to the root of really what I want to know, until I'm satisfied that yeah, what I'm reading and what I'm convincing, not convincing myself, but what I'm comprehending, teaching myself about some what ancient history is and how it inspires me, I could get a better understanding of it. That like I said, I'm getting a little off track here. have fun doing it. History is a very boring subject to some people, but if you read some of the descriptions, not even the history or background of certain people, like if you have trouble believing, ancient philosophers and so on, um, just the battle descriptions alone are, it's like watching, D-Day or like the Vietnam War, like the documentaries used to play, or like Saving Private Ryan. You get that rush of action just through dialogue or passages or whatever, and it's fun. I trust me, I did this a long time. There is some fun in history, especially if you like violence, intrigue, and all that. I mean, look what Game of Thrones did. That made us like, oh, okay, this is. I mean, yeah, it's fantasy, or Lord of the Rings for that matter, but they were all heavily inspired through like medieval and Renaissance-y era kind of stuff. So yeah, you be the philosopher, you be the historian. Check it out for yourself. Don't take my word for it. Find something you like and dig into it. And who knows? You might even surprise yourself because there's a lot of history to be unturned and to explore yourself. So there you go. Sorry for the rant. I just had to get it off my chest. I've been wanting to talk to you guys for a long time, but like I said, work and family life, interjects and takes up most of my time. But if I get a chance, hey, I'll say a few things here. All right. Well, look. Thanks for watching and listening to me. And until next time, guys. Peace. See you later.